Oh, oh, look at those pores. Oh, shiny skin. Okay, sat down to film and I realized my face is all aglow. It's the problem with good cameras. Hey guys, so can you believe it? It is almost time for NaNoWriMo 2017. I mean, as I said on Twitter, I feel like I'm still just getting over NaNoWriMo 2016 emotionally, and now we have another year. I was actually a first timer last year, so this is gonna be my second year. I'm officially a NaNoWriMo vet, even though I didn't win. But that's okay, because I was able to develop some tips and lessons from last year that I am going to implement this year, and I thought I would share that with you guys. Now, especially for those of you who are attempting NaNoWriMo for the first time, congratulations! It's very exciting. You are going to learn to love the community. There's so many people who do it. I don't have a figure. I should have looked that up, but oh my gosh, hundreds, if not thousands of people join every single year, and I feel like it's just been growing. Last year was my first year, but I had such a blast, and it led me to do Camp NaNoWriMo. I'm so happy to say I have officially completed my manuscript that I was working on in April and July. So this really does work, guys. Like, if you have just had it and you just are like, you know what, I just need to sit down and I just need to finish a book. Like, that's all I've ever wanted. I just need to do it. Then this is for you. And I'm here to give you some tips and tricks to help you have a successful November. Okay, tip number one is something I'm sure if you've been browsing videos like this, you know, and that is to outline. Now, I understand that some people don't like to work this way. They like to just sit and write on the seat of their pants, so to say, hence the term pantsers. However, for a first timer or somebody who maybe hasn't had success with actually finishing a novel before in the past, it's really recommended that you sit and outline your book. This is so valuable. I mean, you just basically, in my experience, you can't get writer's block because you know exactly what's going to be happening next, or at least you have a good outline of what is. Now, your outline can be as vague or detailed as you want. You know, it can be a way that you just thought dump and you brainstorm. It's totally up to you, but I do recommend before November 1st hits to sit down and really think about what it is you're writing, so that way you're not, you know, doing one of these in front of the keyboard. Okay, tip number two I have for you guys is something that I don't know if a lot of people mention this, but it's something I found really helpful in actually finishing my book for the first time. But that is to write from start to finish. Now, I know that maybe for some of you that seems like very duh, but there's a lot of people who, and I used to do this in the past, would jump around. You know, you'd write whatever scene you feel motivated to write in that given moment, and that can have its benefits because it might keep you, you know, going the first week or two, but eventually you're gonna have to get to those scenes that weren't so developed or that you weren't so enthusiastic about writing, and that's when you're gonna feel stuck, and maybe you're just gonna stop writing. So there's a lot of advantages to writing forward. First of all, it prevents this from happening. You know, you're excited to write a certain scene, well, you better write what comes before it then, right? Also, your characters are gonna grow and develop as your story moves forward. Who your character was in the beginning of your novel hopefully isn't the same as who your character is going to be at the end. And so, you know, you wanna show that character growth, and if you're jumping around, it's not gonna be as organic. Also, jumping around is gonna leave lots of room for plot holes. Now, I know before I started writing, I was like, I don't understand how an author can have plot holes. I mean, they literally developed the story in their mind. Like, wouldn't they have all the facts? Well, that's certainly maybe true in theory. However, as any writer knows, you change your mind on things all the time. And so what one person sees as the final result and as the true story form is not the only version that author has played with. And so while you're writing, you could change your mind on certain things. I know I certainly did. With my first draft, I've changed things from the beginning to the end that if someone was just to sit down and read for the first time, they would be so confused. They'd be like, who's this character? Did this character die? Why did they never appear again? Because I changed my mind. And so if you're jumping around, it's gonna just get more confusing, whereas if you write from start to finish, you can say, okay, I'm gonna change my mind on this aspect, maybe make a note of it to go back, but it's not gonna be as jumbled around as if it would be if you wrote it that way. Does that make sense? See, it's confusing because just don't do it, just start to finish. Okay, tip number 3, and this one is super important if you want to win NaNoWriMo or at least do well. You have to keep writing, guys, even if you think your writing sucks, because spoiler alert, everyone thinks their writing sucks. Everyone. At some point, I guarantee you, everyone thinks their writing sucks. Otherwise, if no one thought this, or if people's writing didn't suck, there'd be no such thing as first draft. It would just be you write it and it's done. It is gonna suck in the beginning, especially if you've never done this before, if you've never sat down and wrote before. It is gonna be so bad. You're gonna look back and read it and you're gonna be like, what the heck was I thinking? Like, did a 5-year-old write this? This is horrible. You're gonna have those thoughts. You're gonna be writing it and thinking it. You're gonna be like, she smiled, all smiley. You're gonna be like, I've written sentences like that. It's in my first draft. You can check it out if you don't. No, you can't check it out. No. My point is, it's gonna suck. But that's not the point of NaNoWriMo. The point of NaNoWriMo is not to sit down and write a glorious book. The point is to sit down and actually just write a book. That's it. The idea is that you set this crazy word count goal. It sounds crazy, but honestly, it's pretty manageable. But you just sit down and you're so focused on the word count goal, you don't even care about anything else. You're not obsessed about your writing. You're not going back and editing every single sentence right after you've written it. The idea is to just do it, which is something that I know, at least, and I'm sure you know, that's the main struggle that want-to-be authors face, is just doing it. So that's what NaNoWriMo is about. So stop overthinking it. It's gonna suck. Just accept it. It sucks. Yeah. It's the suckiest novel you've ever written, but guess what? It's a novel you've written. And over time, it is gonna get so much easier. It's gonna suck in the beginning to just be so sucky. I keep saying that word. But it's gonna get easier. You know, towards the end, I just stopped even thinking about how poor it was. And then something even amazing happened. I would have days when I thought, you know what, this is actually pretty good. I remember I wrote a whole chapter, chapter 6, and I felt that way. I was like, this is a good chapter. This is, oh my God. And I never had that feeling before, and I would never have felt that if I hadn't done it, because guess what? You're gonna get better. The more words you write, the better you're gonna get. You're practicing a new skill. You're gonna get better. Okay, tip number 4, it kind of goes in hand with getting better. One thing I found really helpful was reading a book about writing while I was doing this. So that way it was sort of staying fresh in my mind and I was developing tips and tricks, and it kind of kept me, you know, going, kept me motivated, because I just, you know, when you read about something that you love and it just gets you excited for it, well, I highly recommend On Writing by Stephen King. I know I talked about it a lot. I know everyone talks about it a lot, but that's because it's so good. I think what Stephen, in my mind, does differently anyway is that he talks about the technical aspects of writing, but he also goes into the creative and really the magic of writing, which I think a lot of books on writing are lacking, is that feeling that makes you want to write. And Stephen does a really good job of capturing it and just motivating you, and he just treats you like, yeah, of course you can do it. Like, it's not a matter of, he doesn't go into like, oh yeah, it's hard, like maybe it's not for everyone. He says, of course, anyone can do it. So it's motivating. Okay, tip number 5. And I can go more into this later on how to find time to write, because I did finish my book while holding a full-time job. It is possible. I don't have kids, so that certainly helps, but I know that there's a lot of people out there with full-time jobs, kids, businesses, crazy schedules, and they still do it. So, you know what they say, it's no excuse. But my tip is to develop a certain time you're going to write. If you go into each day facing it like, oh, I'll fit in the time sometime today, it's so easy to lose track of time, or to spend too much time watching TV after work, or I don't know. But if you have a certain time every single day, this is my writing time, it is gonna be so much more easy to stick to your writing goal and to just do it every day, because you're not like, oh no, where'd the day go, but I have to go to bed. I'm not so good with this tip, but it is a really good tip, so I'm giving it to you, and hopefully I'll take it myself. And Stephen King talks about this in his book. If you develop a certain set time to write, you're gonna find that it's gonna get you in the headspace better. You're gonna be more motivated to do it, because you're gonna train yourself. Okay, this is creative time. This is when I can turn on all my muse juices. That's gross, but you know what I mean. And also, you know, you can take your routine one step further. One thing I always do when I sit down to write, I watch one writing video on YouTube, either just somebody new, or I watch my favorites are Jenna Moreci and Kim Chance, just to kind of get my mind going, learn a new quick 10-minute tip before I get going. It might apply itself to my story. And I always put on either a storm or a crackling fire to listen to while I write. And so I hear those sounds in my headphones and my mind knows, okay, it's time to write. Okay, so those are just kind of my quick tips I thought of off the top of my head. I'm sure there's millions more, but guess what? YouTube is big. You can go find more tips too. Everyone's gonna have different tips as well because everyone writes differently, but those are my tips. Hopefully they are helpful to you. Now I just kind of want to get into lessons I learned from last year. So like I said, last year was the first time I've ever done NaNoWriMo, and I made some mistakes. I didn't win. I think I wrote maybe 20,000. I don't remember my final count, but I don't think I even made the halfway point. But each time I've done a NaNoWriMo event, so after that I did Camp NaNoWriMo, each time I did better and better, and so I'm definitely learning as I go. But my first lesson that I learned, and this is so important guys, don't fall behind. I mean, that seems like a no-brainer, but there were so many days that I thought, you know what, I'm gonna have a long day on the weekend, I can just sit and do like a 5,000 word day, but today's a weekday and I'm tired, so I'm just gonna save for that. That is a trap. It's a trap. You can never predict what the future day is gonna be like, but you know what today is like, so just do it today. And before you know it, you're 10,000 words behind, there's no way you're gonna catch up, and you just feel that looming weight of how far behind you are, and it just makes it not fun. But if you stay ahead each day, because 1,667 words, it's really not that much, guys. You can do it in an hour or two, and if you just do that every day, I mean, there's people who do it quicker. I'm not fast, so I don't do it quicker. But you can do it in like an hour and a half. It's a good life lesson about anything. Just do it. And you're gonna feel so good after you do it each day, and that's the whole point, is to have fun with it. And you know, it's not supposed to be this traumatizing event, even though it feels like it sometimes. And so lesson number 2 kind of goes with lesson number 1, and that's that even a little bit of writing every day is better than no writing every day. Like I said, there were days I thought, you know what, on the weekend I'm just gonna catch up, I'm gonna do thousands of words. I'm sure if you watch my previous blog, you'll see me say that, and guess what? Never quite make it. But if I had just done a little bit every day instead of waiting for one good big day, I would have been so much further ahead. I had a friend who, she was only aiming to do 500 words a day. However, she stuck with doing 500 a day, and by the end of it, she had way more words than me. It just shows it's so important to just write something every day. Even if you feel you can't make the 1,667 words, just do something. You're gonna keep the habit up for yourself, and you're just gonna be that much further than you would have been if you decide not to do it at all. Lesson number 3, and this was something I kind of knew but didn't really know, and I wanna say it to you guys. Some days are gonna be really hard. Some days you're not gonna wanna do it, and it's not gonna feel fun, and you're gonna wanna quit because you're gonna hear people say like, well, if you wanna be a writer, then writing should be fun for you. Some days it's not. Some days it feels like work, because guess what, it is work, and that's okay. So just knowing that in your head it's okay for it to be hard, it helps. You know, you can sit there and think, this is not fun, I would rather be doing something else. It's okay to have those thoughts, and it doesn't mean you don't want to be a writer. It just means your brain knows that work is hard. So it's okay to have those thoughts, as long as you get past them. Lesson number 4 kind of flows again. And this is one that some people might not be okay with me saying, but it's okay to fail. I did. I have yet to win a NaNoWriMo event, whether it's NaNoWriMo or Camp NaNoWriMo. But every month that I do something like this, I write so many more words than I would have before. And that is literally the point. That's the point, is to just write because we want to and because we love it. My novel is now, what did I say, it was 62,000? Somewhere around there, 63,000 words. Guess how many I wrote the year before I discovered NaNoWriMo? Probably 500 words in a year. And yet, after this less than 1 year since I've discovered NaNoWriMo, I have written 62,000 words. I have finished my first draft that I've been working on for 3 years. I finished it. And that's just the point, you know? And so my lesson with this, don't take it so seriously. Like it's okay for it to be hard, but if you find it's actually causing you anxiety and stress, it's okay to fail. You know, if you want to cut back to 500 words a day, if 1,000 a day just isn't manageable for you right now, that's okay. Because you're gonna still have way more words than you would have had the previous month. And finally, my last lesson. and this is not a plug, I'm not sponsored. I don't have enough subscribers to be sponsored. But I found easily the most helpful thing was that add-on, Stay Focused. I will link it below. It saved me. So basically, it's a way to help you stay focused. You let the add-on know which sites are a distraction for you. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I didn't put YouTube just because that's how I listen to my fireplace crackling videos. But any forums, Reddit, you put that into your add-on and it will block it for a set amount of time. So I would always set mine for an hour. And it is amazing what not having those distractions can do. I wish I had known about it in high school and in college. I would have done so much better, I swear. It's for people who want to have more self-control but aren't quite there yet. It's a great tool, and you know, if you set it for an hour or two, then you can, it's just that much easier to sit down for that set time that you have pre-scheduled, right? And just write. So there you have it. Those are just some quick tips and lessons I have for you guys. I hope you guys got something out of it, whether you are a NaNoWriMo vet or you're a NaNoWriMo first timer. Let's just kill it this month, right guys? I hope you're excited. I'm excited. And if you want to know more about what I will be doing this month, you can go check out my last video. I forget what it's called. I'll link it below or somewhere here or here. I don't know how it works. Alright, I will see you guys in a few days. It's so close, I can't believe it. Alright, I'm starting to annoy myself. Bye.